Greetings YouTube, I'm Mitch Goth, and today I'll be taking you through a review of a recent investigation I performed at the Grand Opera House in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, commonly known today as the Grand Oshkosh. The Grand Oshkosh is one of the oldest and most historically significant theaters in Wisconsin, and with its storied past comes countless ghost stories. But is it really as haunted as some people say? Well, let's get into it. The Grand Oshkosh was opened in 1883 as an opera house, with the first performance being a rendition of The Bohemian Girl. The theater was originally designed by local architect William Waters and was built with the then-modern Victorian design style. The original capacity was over 1,000, including the number of seats that were jump seats that folded out from the walls to be used during high-capacity times. The theater went through numerous renovations and updates over the course of its history, becoming more of a vaudeville theater at the beginning of the 20th century, before shifting again to movies as talkies became more popular in the late 1920s. By the 1950s, significant updates were made to the structure, then called the Grand Theater, to outfit it more like a contemporary movie house. Unfortunately, the years began to take their toll, and the Grand became run down as the century wore on. An initiative to restore the historical theater was taken up and completed in the 1980s, restoring the Grand to what it looks like today. A historical theater that is well maintained and has a close connection to how it looked and was laid out originally in 1883. But with that revitalization, stories began to abound that no theater goer was truly alone while walking the halls of the Grand Oshkosh. Over the last few decades, several spirits have supposedly made themselves known to patrons around the Grand Oshkosh. One of the most well-known spirits that supposedly haunts the halls is that of Percy Keene, a former stage manager who worked and lived around the theater for just about his entire life. He's now said to sit up in the balcony and watch performances, as well as investigations take place. He's sometimes said to be joined by a lady in white who has been seen and reportedly even spoke to by patrons, who said that the lady in white is waiting for the production of The Bohemian Girl to begin. Another well-known spirit is actually that of a dog that is reported to be seen around the stage and backstage areas. The stories have it that rehearsing performers often spot a dog wandering around the stage area, only to look around and find no sign of it anywhere. Investigators have reportedly built a rapport with the ghost dog and given it the name Lady. The last well-established spirit said to haunt the Grand Oshkosh supposedly haunts down in the basement and dressing room areas. This spirit, as of now unnamed, is said to be the spirit of a teenage stagehand who died after falling into a coal bin in the basement, back when coal ran the building's heat. The spirit is said to be a mischievous trickster, hiding things from people and taking things from investigators' pockets. Now that we've established some widely known haunts that reportedly impact the theater, let's talk about what my investigation of the building uncovered. The Paranormal Normal crew arrived at the Grand Oshkosh at 8 p.m. for a 4-hour investigation. Unfortunately, overnights are not permitted, so 4 hours was about the maximum time we had to cover the substantially sized theater. Some things that stood out from the outset were both the levels of natural EMF in the building and outside noise contamination in the theater and balcony. Pockets of EMF can be encountered just about everywhere in the building, which both makes it difficult to locate anomalous EMF points, and also explains some uneasy or haunting feelings some patrons get in some areas, as heightened EMF levels can cause those odd or creepy feelings in people. In the theater itself, we found a higher level of noise contamination than we had initially anticipated. Noise from electrical and lighting systems hummed continuously, and an exterior door at the back of the stage allowed sounds from nearby bar patrons and seagulls to permeate the theater. Part of this may have been our investigation's close proximity to the ongoing Oshkosh Air Show, which brought throngs of tourists to the area. Down in the basement, however, it was a completely different story. The basement, despite having a lot of natural standing EMF, was almost entirely silent. This allowed for much more productive and efficient EVP sessions and experiments. And while we tried to communicate with every well-known spirit that supposedly haunts the theater, We seemed to have the most activity in the basement and dressing rooms. During our investigation of the ground floor, we encountered audible knocks that seemed to respond to us, and 2 disembodied moans in the basement storage area that remain unexplained. Overall, the investigation was certainly a success. We uncovered potential natural explanations for certain phenomena like natural EMF and audio leakage from outdoor sources, but also encountered unexplained events down in the basement and dressing rooms that left us saying, There were some experiments that we didn't quite have time to get to, particularly taking photos and videos of the balcony, where many people report seeing apparitions of Percy Keene and the Lady in White. And despite our best efforts, we didn't seem to make contact with the ghost dog either. But given the level of activity and experience we had down in the basement, we may have just made contact with the tricky entity that some people say resides down there. Finally, we'd like to give our thanks to the proprietors of the Grand Oshkosh for letting us come in and investigate, and for taking such amazingly good care of their building and its history. Whether you're a ghost hunter or just a history buff, chances are you'll find a lot to adore in the Grand Oshkosh. So until next time, happy hunting out there, and be sure to watch out for my next video as we work to make the paranormal normal. Thank you for tuning into today's video. Be sure to give this video a like, hit the notification bell below, and subscribe if you haven't already. I've got links down in the description to find the Paranormal Normal on Facebook. There's always new stuff being posted there and new community discussions to follow. Now it's time for the sales pitch. Along with being a paranormal investigator, I'm also a prolific novelist. And in fact, I published a novel recently that I'd like to tell you about. It's called Tether, and it is a sci-fi time travel adventure currently available on Amazon in Kindle, audiobook, and paperback. There's a link down below for that as well if you'd like to check it out. To those who have watched this far, I sure appreciate it. But now, the video's over. Till next time.